Welcome to WebLizard Cert Lab and AB-650 practice. This is video 5 of the 5-part AB-650 practice set with 34 questions on agents and AI service governance. Work each scenario as an administrator. Identify the requirement, choose the documented mechanism, and keep scope and governance boundaries visible. You will hear every question and every answer option. After the cue, lock in your answer, there are 3 full seconds of silence. Then the correct selection appears before a source-faithful explanation and a transferable exam clue. Pause whenever you need more time, especially on multi-select questions. Question 1. An identity governance team is designing lifecycle workflows that can notify stakeholders when an agent identity's sponsor changes roles or leaves the organization. In which 2 workflow template categories can the supported agent sponsorship notification tasks trigger? Answer A. Any template category when the task is scheduled to recur. Answer B. Leaver. Answer C. Mover. Answer D. Joiner. Lock in your answer. B and C are correct. B. Leaver. C. Mover. Both supported agent sponsorship notification tasks are mover and leaver category tasks. They trigger only under mover or leaver workflow templates, which aligns the notification with sponsor role changes or departures. Question 2. An agent identity already has a sponsor and several co-sponsors. If the sponsor leaves, governance policy requires an automated notice to the co-sponsors so they can maintain continuity. The workflow must send a notification only. It must not imply that sponsorship is reassigned. Which lifecycle workflow's task should be used? Answer A. Send email to co-sponsors about sponsor changes. Answer B. Automatically replace the departing sponsor with the first co-sponsor. Answer C. Send email to manager about sponsorship changes. Answer D. Place the co-sponsor email task in a joiner workflow. Lock in your answer. Lifecycle Workflows provides a task specifically for emailing co-sponsors about sponsor changes. The task is a notification mechanism and belongs to the mover or leaver category. It does not perform sponsor reassignment. A is correct. Send email to co-sponsors about sponsor changes. Question 3. A mover workflow detects that the sponsor of an agent identity has changed roles. Policy requires the supported automated notice to be sent to the manager, while the agent's co-sponsors must not be the notification audience. The workflow is not expected to transfer sponsorship. Which task should the administrator add? Answer A. Send email to co-sponsors about sponsor changes. Answer B. Move the manager notification task to a joiner workflow. Answer C. Send email to manager about sponsorship changes. Answer D. Reassign sponsorship to the manager instead of sending a notification. Lock in your answer. After the lifecycle category is established, select between sponsorship tasks by the required recipient, manager or co-sponsors. C is correct. Send email to manager about sponsorship changes. Lifecycle Workflows includes a supported task that sends email to the manager about sponsorship changes. Because the scenario already uses a mover workflow, it also satisfies the mover-leaver category boundary. The task sends a notice and does not establish a sponsor transfer operation. Question 4. A support agent receives a delegated token after an employee signs in. To call a downstream service, the agent exchanges that delegated token for another access token. Security must apply conditional access to the identity that is the subject of this flow. Which target should the administrator configure? Answer A. Only the downstream service as the audience. Answer B. A linked agent user account. Answer C. The agent identity used by the agent identity blueprint. Answer D. The employee population by targeting users and groups. Lock in your answer. D is correct. The employee population by targeting users and groups. Target users and groups. In delegated on behalf of access, the signed-in user is the token subject, so conditional access is scoped to users and groups. The downstream service remains the audience, but policy evaluation considers both the requesting subject and the audience. For agent conditional access, identify the access token subject before choosing a policy target. Do not infer the target from the fact that an agent makes the call. Question 5. An unattended procurement agent calls a protected API. No employee signs in, and the agent requests the API token by using its own identity and credentials managed through its agent identity blueprint. Which identity should conditional access target for this request? Answer A, all employees who can submit procurement requests. Answer B, the agent identity. Answer C, only the protected API as the audience. Answer D, an agent user account associated with the workload. Lock in your answer. Target the agent identity. When an agent uses its own identity and credentials, the token is issued to the agent identity rather than to a user. Conditional access is therefore scoped to the agent identity, while the protected API is evaluated as the audience. Distinguish an agent identity token from an agent user token by asking which principal receives the access token. B is correct, the agent identity. Question 6. A digital worker runs without a human interface and uses the agent user OAuth flow to obtain a token for a business resource. Token inspection confirms that the token was issued to the digital worker's user account. Which principal should conditional access evaluate as the requesting subject? Answer A, the digital worker's agent user account. Answer B, only the business resource named as the token audience. Answer C, the employees who receive the digital worker's output. Answer D, the agent identity from the identity blueprint. Lock in your answer. An unattended experience is not enough to identify the policy target. Determine whether the token belongs to an agent identity or to an agent user account. Conditional access should evaluate the agent user account. In the agent user OAuth model, the access token is issued to the agent's user account, so policy is evaluated against that account rather than against the agent identity. The resource remains a separate audience dimension. A is correct, the digital worker's agent user account. Question 7. During a quarterly governance review, an administrator finds several deployed agents with no owner recorded. The agents are still in use, and there is no evidence that they are compromised. Which action most directly closes the governance gap? Answer A. Block every affected agent as a confirmed security risk. Answer B. Use the ownerless agent governance view to prioritize the affected agents and assign each a designated owner. Answer C. Review usage analytics and leave the owner field unchanged. Answer D. Move the affected agents into the pending request approval workflow. Lock in your answer. B is correct. Use the ownerless agent governance view to prioritize the affected agents and assign each a designated owner. Assign a designated owner to each ownerless agent. The owner is responsible for lifecycle management, compliance, and ongoing maintenance, so restoring ownership directly remediates the stated governance gap. Question 8. A governance analyst can view the agent overview and detects an active agent without an owner. The analyst's current permissions are monitoring only. To have ownership assigned without granting the analyst broader standing access, to whom should the analyst route the change? Answer A. A user in the AI administrator or global administrator role. Answer B. The owner of a data source used by the agent. Answer C. Any operator in a monitoring only role. Answer D. Any user who can view the agent overview. Lock in your answer. Route the change to an AI administrator or global administrator. Assigning agent ownership is an administrative governance action restricted to those roles. Overview, visibility, and monitoring permissions do not grant authority to modify or manage agents. A is correct, a user in the AI administrator or global administrator role. Question 9. An organization permits agents built by Microsoft and agents built internally. It must prevent every user from viewing or installing agents supplied by outside publishers while leaving the two permitted categories available. The requirement applies by agent provenance across the tenant, not to a named agent or a selected user population. Which setting should an administrator configure? Answer A, block each currently known outside publisher agent individually in the agent registry. Answer B, set user access to no users for the organization. Answer C, set user access to specific users/groups and select the users who may use agents. Answer D, in allowed agent types, retain the Microsoft and organization-built categories and disable the outside publisher category. Lock in your answer. Choose the setting whose dimension matches the requirement. Allowed agent types governs provenance categories, whereas user access governs which people or groups can use agents. D is correct. In allowed agent types, retain the Microsoft and organization-built categories and disable the outside publisher category. Allowed agent types controls which categories of agents users can view and install from the catalog. Disabling one category prevents agents of that type from appearing, so retaining Microsoft and organization-built agents while disabling the outside publisher category matches the provenance-wide requirement. Question 10. An administrator configures agent user access as specific users/groups and selects the research group. Members of the operations group are not selected, but a separate agent registry assignment gives them permission to install and use catalog agents. Assuming the relevant agent type is allowed, who can use the agents? Answer A, only members of the operations group. Answer B, members of neither group. Answer C, members of both groups. Answer D, only members of the research group. Lock in your answer. D is correct. Only members of the research group. Only research members can use the agents. With agent user access set to specific users/groups, only the selected users or groups have access. A separate agent registry permission to install and use agents does not place unselected operations members inside that tenant user access scope. When multiple permission layers appear, identify whether the tenant user access gate narrows the population even for users who have a separate install/use assignment. Question 11. A tenant has already selected a pilot group under agent user access. An administrator then disables allow apps and agents built by external publishers under allowed agent types. Pilot users browse the agent store. Which result is expected for agents built by external publishers? Answer A, they remain visible to the pilot group because user access overrides the typesetting. Answer B, they appear only to users who also have an agent registry assignment. Answer C, they no longer appear to users in the agent store. Answer D, they remain visible, but their install button is disabled for every user. Lock in your answer. Disabling the outside publisher option causes agents of that non-Microsoft type not to appear for users in the agent store. Microsoft-built agents are the documented exception. They remain visible when their option is disabled, but users cannot install them. Selecting a pilot population does not override the disabled external publisher category. Separate category visibility from user population scope. An allowed type setting determines whether that category appears in the catalog at all. C is correct. They no longer appear to users in the agent store. Question 12. A governance team must produce one inventory of Microsoft agents, partner agents, and internally developed agents. Some internally developed agents do not have a Microsoft Entra agent ID. Which administrative inventory should the team use? Answer A, the agent list in the Microsoft Entra Admin Center. Answer B, a top platform summary in the agent overview. Answer C, the pending agent request queue. Answer D, the Comprehensive Agent Registry in Agent 365. Lock in your answer. Choose the inventory plane by its inclusion boundary. Identity administration views omit agents that lack the corresponding intra-agent identity. Use the Comprehensive Agent 365 registry. It provides the comprehensive inventory, including agents without a Microsoft Entra agent identity. The Entra Admin Center focuses on identity and access management and shows agents that have Microsoft Entra agent ID. D is correct, the Comprehensive Agent Registry in Agent 365. Question 13. An agent inventory contains agents created on several development platforms and deployed through multiple channels. An auditor must isolate agents owned and distributed by external partners, while excluding Microsoft agents and agents published by the organization. Which registry filter should the auditor use? Answer A, publisher type. Answer B, platform. Answer C, data source. Answer D, channel. Lock in your answer. A is correct, publisher type. Use publisher type. This filter distinguishes Microsoft agents, external partner-built agents, and internally owned agents published by the organization. It identifies publisher provenance rather than the platform or channel used for an agent. Question 14. An organization is defining administrative responsibilities after adopting the converged agent management approach. Which two assignments align with the documented separation of responsibilities? Answer A. Use Agent 365 as a central place to discover and manage agents. Answer B. Use the Microsoft Entra agent list as the comprehensive inventory for agents that do not have an Entra agent identity. Answer C. Replace Microsoft Entra identity and access controls with Agent 365 inventory controls. Answer D. Use publisher type to determine the platform on which each agent was built. Answer E. Continue to use Microsoft Entra for agent identity and access control. Lock in your answer. Use Agent 365 as the central place to discover and manage agents, and continue using Microsoft Entra for agent identity and access control. The converged approach centralizes agent inventory and management without transferring the identity and access function away from Entra. A and E are correct. A. Use Agent 365 as the central place to discover and manage agents. E. Continue to use Microsoft Entra for agent identity and access control. Question 15. An administrator has finished reviewing a newly requested agent. The agent should be available only to a pilot group, and the administrator must apply the organization's protection template and accept the required permissions as part of release. Which action should the administrator take? Answer A. Wait for the request to enter update pending and then approve it while users continue using a previous version. Answer B. Select Publish to Store and then complete the wizard for the pilot users, policy template, and required permissions. Answer C. Select Update in Store so that the pilot group receives the agent's first published version. Answer D. Select Publish to Store without choosing users or a policy template and configure both after release. Lock in your answer. First, identify the lifecycle state. A new requested agent uses Publish to Store, while an existing agent revision uses the update-specific path. B is correct. Select Publish to Store, and then complete the wizard for the pilot users, policy template, and required permissions. For a newly requested agent, Publish to Store opens the publishing wizard. The wizard supports selecting users, applying a policy template or protection policy, and accepting required permissions, which satisfies the bounded pilot release and governance requirements. Question 16. A developer submits a revision to an agent that is already available in the store. The revision appears in pending approval, and employees can still use the previous version while the administrator reviews the changes. The administrator approves the revision. What should the administrator do next? Answer A. Wait until the previous version becomes unavailable and then select Update in Store. Answer B. Select Update in Store. Access to the previous version before approval is expected. Answer C. Reject the revision because continued access to the previous version indicates that the update failed. Answer D. Select Publish to Store and process the revision as a new requested agent. Lock in your answer. B is correct. Select Update in Store. Access to the previous version before approval is expected. A developer update to an existing agent appears in pending approval with the update pending status. Users retain the previous version until approval. After review and approval, the documented update-specific action is Update in Store. For an existing agent revision, treat previous version availability as expected continuity and use the update-specific store action after approval. Question 17. A developer publishes a revision to an agent that employees already use. The administrator has not yet reviewed or approved the revision. Support must tell employees what access behavior to expect during the review. Which statement is correct? Answer A. The update appears in pending approval with update pending status, and users continue using the previous version during review. Answer B. The update appears in pending approval with update pending status, and user access to the agent pauses while review continues. Answer C. The update appears in pending approval with update pending status, and users choose between both agent versions while review continues. Answer D. The update appears in pending approval with update pending status, and users begin using the revised version while review continues. Lock in your answer. An update to an existing agent enters the pending approval list with the status Update Pending. Before an administrator approves that update, users retain access to the previous version rather than moving to the revision, choosing between versions, or losing access to the agent. This separates the update's review state from the version that remains available to users. For an update to an already available agent, evaluate two states separately. The revision waits for approval, while the previously approved version remains available to users. A is correct. The update appears in pending approval with update pending status, and users continue using the previous version during review. Question 18. A security review finds that an agent already listed in the Microsoft 365 Agent Registry must become unusable across the entire organization immediately after the governance decision is applied. The organization wants to retain the agent in its managed inventory so access can be restored later if the review outcome changes. Which action should an administrator take? Answer A. Upload a packaged copy of the agent as a custom agent in the registry. Answer B. Remove the agent from the pinned agent configuration in each channel where it appears. Answer C. Use the registry control to block the agent for the entire organization. Answer D. Remove the agent's installations from the user groups that currently have it. Lock in your answer. Distinguish access state from deployment and presentation. For a reversible tenant-wide denial on an existing agent, use the organization-wide block control. The Microsoft 365 Admin Center provides block or unblock controls for agents across the entire organization. Blocking the existing agent matches the required organization-wide access restriction while preserving a reversible access state. C is correct. Use the registry control to block the agent for the entire organization. Question 19. An internal development team provides a custom agent package that has never been added to the tenant's agent registry. Administrators must first bring the agent under organizational management. User access and distribution will be decided later. What should an administrator do? Answer A. Install the agent for selected users as though it already existed in the registry. Answer B. Publish the package as a requested agent directly to the store. Answer C. Block the agent for the entire organization before creating its registry record. Answer D. Upload the custom agent by using the agent registry. Lock in your answer. D is correct. Upload the custom agent by using the agent registry. The agent registry provides the custom agent upload mechanism so that the organization can manage the agent. Because the package is not yet in the registry and distribution is deferred, upload is the required onboarding action rather than an access control or deployment action. Question 20. An agent already in the tenant registry was made unusable across the organization during an investigation. The investigation is complete, and governance has approved restoring organization-wide access to the same registry object. No new package has been supplied. What should the administrator do? Answer A. Use block again to confirm the existing restriction. Answer B. Install the agent only for a pilot group and leave the organization-wide restriction unchanged. Answer C. Upload the custom agent again to create a replacement registry object. Answer D. Use unblock for the agent. Lock in your answer. The documented organization-wide controls include block and unblock. Unblock restores access after an agent has been blocked. Re-uploading is for onboarding a custom agent, while repeating block or changing a scoped installation does not reverse the organization-wide restriction. D is correct. Use unblock for the agent. Question 21. A connector tool is already listed in the Agent Tools registry and is currently usable. A new control requires that no agent or workflow invoke the tool, but the registry entry must remain available for later reassessment. Which action should an administrator take? Answer A. Reject the tool request as though administrative intake were still pending. Answer B. Unblock the selected tool. Answer C. Approve the tool request and grant the server's Microsoft Intra permissions. Answer D. Block the selected tool. Lock in your answer. Match the action to the object's lifecycle state. Use block for an existing available tool, not reject for a pending request. D is correct. Block the selected tool. Block prevents the selected tool from being used by agents or workflows while retaining the object for later administration. Reject or approve applies to request review, and unblock restores access to a tool that was previously blocked. Question 22. A developer registers a remote MCP server for a controlled, non-production evaluation. The registration creates an administrative request. The organization is treating the capability as preview and will not use it for production. Which two administrative actions are required to produce an approval outcome? Answer A. Review the server details and declared tools, and approve the request only if they are acceptable. Answer B. Move the server directly into production because preview access indicates an official release. Answer C. Use unblock on the declared tools instead of reviewing the pending request. Answer D. Treat developer registration as sufficient administrative approval. Answer E. Upon approval, grant the required Microsoft Entra permissions for the server. Lock in your answer. A and E are correct. A. Review the server details and declared tools, and approve the request only if they are acceptable. E. Upon approval, grant the required Microsoft Entra permissions for the server. The IT administrator reviews the server details and declared tools, and then approves or rejects the request. If the administrator approves it, the administrator grants the required Microsoft Entra permissions. Developer registration is not approval. Unblock addresses a previously blocked tool, and preview functionality is not intended for production use. For a preview intake request, keep developer registration, administrator review, and the approval time permission grant as separate gates. Question 23. An operations team must decide where to investigate first across its agent estate. No incident identifies a specific session. A current eligibility check has already confirmed that usage/observability filters are available for the tenant. The team wants to find high-impact agents, unused agents, and agents that may need attention because of reliability signals. Where should the team start? Answer A. Open the activity record for one arbitrarily selected session and inspect its trigger, action, and status. Answer B. Wait for a specific failed session to be reported before choosing any agent to investigate. Answer C. Rank agents only by static registry metadata without using recent activity or reliability signals. Answer D. Use agent map filters based on recent usage and reliability signals. Lock in your answer. Agent map usage filtering highlights agents by recent usage and reliability signals, so administrators can prioritize high-impact agents, find unused agents, and spot agents that may need attention. A session activity record is appropriate after a particular execution is known, not for initial estate-wide ranking. Choose aggregate usage and reliability signals when the starting question is which agents deserve attention. Use session details after a specific run is identified. D is correct. Use agent map filters based on recent usage and reliability signals. Question 24. A support engineer investigates a session after a user reports that an emailed account change request was not applied. Contextual fields suggest that the agent understood the request, but the engineer must verify the actual execution path and outcome. Which three observations provide direct evidence that the email started the session, the Dynamics 365 update was attempted, and the session failed? Answer A. The trigger entry records email received at 0912. Answer B. The AI-generated summary says the agent handled the account request. Answer C. The action or tool call entry records update Dynamics 365 record. Answer D. The title entry reads customer account email. Answer E. The status entry is failed. Answer F. The thought process entry says updating the account is the best next step. Lock in your answer. For a known execution, map the investigation to direct session evidence, trigger for initiation, action or tool call for behavior, and status for outcome. The trigger identifies the event that initiated activity. Action or tool call records what the agent executed, and status shows whether the session is running, completed, or failed. Title, AI-generated summary, and optional thought process can add context, but they do not replace those three direct execution fields. A, C, and E are correct. A. The trigger entry records email received at 0912. C. The action or tool call entry records update Dynamics 365 record. E. The status entry is failed. Question 25. A company is preparing an Agent 365 instance for production. A Teams prompt can start a workflow that reads encrypted SharePoint files and sends an email. A Microsoft Purview DLP policy scopes the instance through a security group and blocks supported interactions. The governance lead wants one recurring review owned by the agent owner. Which review addresses the operating risk that remains after the policy is deployed? Answer A. Review sensitivity label encryption permissions and trace view and extract changes through the dependent Teams and email workflow runs. Answer B. Review explicit SharePoint sharing grants and trace sharing changes through the dependent Teams and email workflow runs. Answer C. Review DLP activity and trace blocked Teams interactions through the dependent SharePoint and email workflow runs. Answer D. Review the policy's security group membership and trace scoping changes through the dependent SharePoint and email workflow runs. Lock in your answer. C is correct. Review DLP activity and trace blocked Teams interactions through the dependent SharePoint and email workflow runs. The agent owner must actively monitor the DLP policy and understand the effect of blocked interactions on subsequent workflows. Because an agent instance is unaware of the block action, reviewing DLP activity and following the affected Teams-triggered workflow into its SharePoint and email stages applies that responsibility. Security group membership establishes policy scope, while explicit sharing and explicit view and extract rights are separate file access prerequisites. Checking those configurations does not monitor actual DLP blocks or their downstream effects. Question 26. A company uses an agent instance to summarize a contract stored in SharePoint. The contract has already been explicitly shared with the agent instance. The contract's sensitivity label encrypts the file, and the company must retain both the label and encryption. The label currently grants access broadly to users in the organization, but the agent still cannot open the file. What should the administrator change? Answer A. Remove encryption from the sensitivity label while leaving the label name applied to the contract. Answer B. Share the contract with the agent instance again through a SharePoint members group. Answer C. Keep the broad organizational encryption grant and add any authenticated users to the label. Answer D. Configure the label's encryption permissions to grant the agent instance both view and extract usage rights. Lock in your answer. Explicit sharing and encrypted label authorization are separate prerequisites. Sharing is already complete, so the remaining change is to grant the specific agent instance both view and extract usage rights in the label's encryption permissions. A broad grant to organizational users or authenticated users is not sufficient for the agent instance, and removing encryption would violate the requirement to preserve the protection. D is correct. Configure the label's encryption permissions to grant the agent instance both view and extract usage rights. Question 27. Contoso opens a selected agent in the Agent 365 Agent Details experience. The governance team wants to start the agent-specific compliance gap evaluation, but the capability is unavailable until its documented assessment prerequisite exists. Which assessment must be available for the selected agent? Answer A. A data protection assessment is available for the selected agent. Answer B. An AI baseline assessment is available for the selected agent. Answer C. A deployment readiness assessment is available for the selected agent. Answer D. A permissions risk assessment is available for the selected agent. Lock in your answer. When several assessment artifacts could contribute to governance, distinguish useful inputs from the exact assessment whose availability enables the requested agent details capability. B is correct. An AI baseline assessment is available for the selected agent. The agent details guidance makes agent-specific compliance gap evaluation available when the selected agent has an AI baseline assessment available. The other assessment concepts can sound relevant to governance work, but they are not the documented availability prerequisite for this capability. Question 28. A regulated workload can use a cloud observability service only if the service supports Microsoft 365 Advanced Data Residency, ADR. An architect is assessing Agent 365 observability before onboarding the workload. What should the architect conclude? Answer A. Run an AI baseline assessment because it changes the observability service's residency capability. Answer B. Record a compliance gap because Agent 365 observability does not currently support ADR. Answer C. Enable ADR for Agent 365 observability in the tenant and proceed with onboarding. Answer D. Create a retention policy to add ADR support to Agent 365 observability. Lock in your answer. B is correct. Record a compliance gap because Agent 365 observability does not currently support ADR. The requirement makes ADR support a deployment gate. The documented Agent 365 observability boundary states that the service does not currently support advanced data residency. Therefore, the architect should identify a compliance gap, rather than assume that a tenant setting, retention policy, or agent assessment can add the unsupported service capability. When a regulation requires a named residency capability, compare that requirement directly with the service's documented boundary. Do not convert an unsupported capability into a presumed configuration task. Question 29. An AI administrator must govern Copilot credit consumption for a pilot made up of individually named users. The pilot must have a shared monthly credit cap, and the finance team must receive email before consumption reaches a defined threshold. The organization's billing method must remain unchanged. Which 3 actions should the administrator take? Answer A. Use the Consumption tab as the only control for the pilot's monthly spending. Answer B. Change the billing method in the policy to enforce the monthly cap. Answer C. Define a usage threshold alert that emails the finance team. Answer D. Configure a limited monthly budget for the spending policy. Answer E. Place the pilot users in a security group and target that group by selecting specific groups in the spending policy. Answer F. Keep the default all user scope and identify the pilot users only in the alert recipients. Lock in your answer. The AI administrator can create spending policies and manage their limits and alerts, but cannot set or modify the billing method. For individually named users, place them in a security group and target specific groups in the spending policy. A limited monthly budget supplies the shared cap, while a usage threshold alert supplies the required email notification. These are distinct controls, so all 3 actions are required. C, D, and E are correct. C. Define a usage threshold alert that emails the finance team. D. Configure a limited monthly budget for the spending policy. E. Place the pilot users in a security group and target that group by selecting specific groups in the spending policy. Question 30. Northwind's monthly Copilot credit total rose after a broad rollout. A cost analyst must determine what is driving the increase and compare how the pattern changed over time. Which cost management surface should the analyst use? Answer A. The monthly budget limit settings in a spending policy. Answer B. The billing method settings for the active policy. Answer C. The Consumption tab in the Cost Management dashboard. Answer D. The Usage Threshold alert settings in a spending policy. Lock in your answer. Use Consumption when the task is to attribute Copilot credit usage or analyze trends. Use Policy, Alert, and Billing surfaces when the task is to configure spending controls. The Consumption tab is the analysis surface for drilling into usage by user, group, service, or agent, identifying cost drivers, and examining consumption trends over time. Spending policy alerts and limits govern thresholds or budgets, while billing method settings configure how usage is billed. Those surfaces do not provide the required dimensional trend analysis. C is correct. The Consumption tab in the Cost Management dashboard. Question 31. Microsoft 365 Copilot has been deployed across the company. An enablement lead now needs to compare observed Copilot use across Microsoft 365 applications, so training can focus on application workloads with weak adoption. Which report detail should the lead use? Answer A. The Application Integration detail in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center Copilot Usage report. Answer B. The App Readiness detail in the Copilot Readiness report. Answer C. The Top Agents detail in the Copilot Usage report. Answer D. The License Eligibility detail in the Copilot Readiness report. Lock in your answer. A is correct. The Application Integration detail in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center Copilot Usage report. The deployment is complete, and the decision concerns observed Copilot use across Microsoft 365 applications. The Usage Report's Application Integration detail reveals which Microsoft 365 applications are being used with Copilot. App Readiness and License Eligibility concern adoption prerequisites, while Top Agents answers a different operational question. Question 32. After a broad Copilot rollout, an operations team must determine whether user engagement is declining and identify which Copilot agents are used most frequently. Which 3 outputs from the Microsoft 365 Admin Center Copilot Usage report directly support this review? Answer A. Active usage trends over time. Answer B, potential technical blockers for deployment. Answer C, license eligibility for users who meet Copilot licensing prerequisites. Answer D, the number of users who accessed Copilot. Answer E, the most frequently used Copilot agents. Answer F, Microsoft 365 applications that are being used with Copilot. Lock in your answer. The usage report provides adoption metrics showing how many users accessed Copilot, user activity trends over time, and top agent information, identifying the most frequently used agents. Together, those three outputs address the stated engagement and popularity review. License eligibility and technical blockers are readiness report outputs. Application integration is a usage report output, but it answers which applications are used rather than the two decisions in this scenario. A, D, and E are correct. A, active usage trends over time. D, the number of users who accessed Copilot. E, the most frequently used Copilot agents. Question 33. A company completed a phased Copilot rollout. Leaders need to compare user adoption trends for individual Copilot features, not merely determine which Microsoft 365 applications are in use. They will use the findings to prioritize feature-specific enablement. Which capability should they use? Answer A, advanced reporting that integrates an external organizational outcome metric. Answer B, the Copilot readiness report in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. Answer C, feature-level user adoption trends in the Adoption tab of the Copilot dashboard in Viva Insights. Answer D, app-level trends in the Copilot dashboard without reviewing the feature-level trends. Lock in your answer. A reporting surface may expose both app and feature dimensions. Select the dimension that matches the decision grain, instead of stopping at a broader app-level view. C is correct. Feature-level user adoption trends in the Adoption tab of the Copilot dashboard in Viva Insights. The Adoption tab of the Copilot dashboard in Viva Insights tracks user adoption trends per Microsoft 365 app and Copilot feature. Because the decision specifically requires feature-level comparison after rollout, the feature trend capability is the direct fit. Readiness addresses deployment preparation. Advanced reporting is needed when custom organizational metrics must be integrated, and app-only analysis omits the required feature dimension. Question 34. A business unit evaluates success by the time required to complete a case, but that metric is maintained outside standard Copilot reports. Leaders want to analyze Copilot usage against this organizational metric and use the resulting insight to adjust deployment and usage plans. Which measurement design should they use? Answer A, use the Microsoft 365 Admin Center Copilot Readiness Report to measure the business unit's case completion outcome. Answer B, incorporate the case completion metric into customizable advanced Copilot reporting and analyze it with Copilot usage data. Answer C, track the case completion metric separately and avoid incorporating it into the Copilot reporting analysis. Answer D, use only feature-level adoption trends in the Copilot dashboard as a substitute for the case completion metric. Lock in your answer. B is correct. Incorporate the case completion metric into customizable advanced Copilot reporting and analyze it with Copilot usage data. Advanced Copilot reporting supports customized analysis by incorporating key organizational metrics and additional data sources. Integrating the case completion metric allows leaders to analyze it against Copilot usage and then use the custom insight to adjust deployment and usage plans. Adoption trends alone do not supply the external outcome metric. Readiness addresses deployment preparation, and separate, uncombined tracking does not provide the requested integrated analysis. You have completed 34 questions on agents and AI service governance. You practiced separating readiness evidence from deployment controls, matching each administrative surface to its job, and preserving the boundary between a tenant default and a scoped exception. Keep using the clue in the requirement to eliminate controls that operate at the wrong layer. Thanks for practicing AB-650 with WebLizard Labs and WebLizard Cert Lab. You have finished video 5 of the 5-part AB-650 practice set. Revisit any question where the control plane, audience, or governance boundary was not immediately clear, and use the full series to reinforce the complete AB-650 objective map.